Welcome to another informative edition of NAFDAC and Your Health, where you get the most authentic information about NAFDAC's daily fight in safeguarding the health of the nation. I'm your host. My name is Tosin Omolaja. COVID-19 has put a huge toll on human population globally. The need to stay safe goes beyond protecting ourselves against the deadly virus. We must pay great attention to what we consume and its content. So today on the program, we'll be exploring food additives, the role they play in our foods and drinks, and why we must pay attention to them.
Food additives are materials, I will call it materials or substances or things that you add to food to preserve it, to enhance the flavor, to enhance the color. So we have so many food additives.
There are different categories of food additives and several kinds under each category, some of which include preservatives, flavor, food acids, propellants, antioxidants, colors, anti-caking agents, artificial sweeteners, emulsifiers, humectants, flavor enhancers, foaming agents, mineral salts, thickeners and vegetable gums, stabilizers and firming agents, flour treatment, glazing agents, gelling agents, raising agents, bulking agents, and so on. Salt has survived to be one of the oldest known additives. It is being used daily all over the world in the preparation of almost every cooked meal as a taste enhancer as well as being a preservative. However, salt has also been found culpable in quite a number of health issues.
There are many food additives. Iodine in salt is necessary. You get iodized salt because if you have deficiency in iodine, there could be enlarged thyroid. That is why the iodine in salt is important. You have artificial sweeteners like saccharin, aspartame, sugar, of course, is also artificial sweeteners. But some of these, we have to be very, very knowledgeable about their side effects. Saccharin, for example, can, if it's used, above the limits, or somebody takes either food that has saccharin and the person has been so used to it, it can lead to cancer. Aspartame can also cause all sorts of central nervous system issues. The problem with food additives is the limit.
Inasmuch as additives are instrumental to enhancing the state of our food, excessive use of them can be extremely harmful to our health. Hence, safe and responsible use of these additives is strongly advised.
The problem arises when food additives are not properly used, like when maximum levels are exceeded. If maximum levels are exceeded, it means that somebody taking that food will exceed the maximum allowable limit for that day, and which means that during the lifetime of the person, the amount of food additives consumed can accumulate in the body in such a way that it will lead to various problems like cancer, liver problems, heart attack, and all the rest of them.
To safeguard our health, especially when it comes to food additives, there are regulations that guide their usage. But in a number of cases, food additives that have been found to be dangerous to human health have either been banned or their use strictly restricted.
Consumption of banned additives is tantamount to consumption of poison. So any person going to take banned additive is already signing his death warrant. And whoever that puts it in the food without declaring it, whether you declare it or not, once you put it in food, you will face regulatory sanction because it is a banned product. That food you produce is poison. Then there are some restricted additives that when you add them, or that you may use them for another thing. Let's take, for instance, vanilla. It is a restricted, controlled additive. It enhances flavor. It's not that it will kill, but the usage is controlled and monitored. So but it's still a free additive to be used. But those that are banned totally should not be. And once you put it in your food, in the food you are producing, you are liable to regulatory punishment.
There are numerous kinds of food additives. Some have been proven to be extremely dangerous and therefore banned. Others are being subjected to standardization and regulation.
For every function or reason that you want to use an additive, there are many options of additives that you can use to achieve the same thing. So there is no need to go for the ones that are banned.
Some of them are mutagenic. They change the body genome and all those things. So, example, we have the bromate, which people call bread improver, which they normally use in products like aggregate bread, which people are being discouraged from. Then we also have azo-dyes, Sudan 4, and the rest of them, which people use to adulterate palm oil. So those ones are banned additives.
The use of azo-dyes in oil is very, very dangerous because it makes the oil redder, but it can cause damage to the kidneys. It can also lead to all sorts of neurological problems. Another food additive is that is used for meat preservation, like bologna, sliced, turkey and whatnot, sodium nitrite or nitrosamine. These are additives that are used to preserve meat, but excess of it can lead to all sorts of health issues. Cancer is one of them. If you are a sweet tooth person and you like all these juices that are not really juices, they can contain 10% juice. The rest of it is high fructose corn syrup. It can cause diabetes. So food additives are okay if they are used within limits. Monosodium glutamate is another food additive to enhance flavor. And we use it a lot in Nigeria. And I believe it kills a lot of people too. The salt content in monosodium glutamate is actually less than the salt in the real salt, table salt, that we use. But monosodium glutamate, the glutamate part of it, can cause all sorts of central nervous system problems. These are things, aside from also leading to high blood pressure. If you use too much salt, you use too much MSG, coming in form of Maggi, Knorr, and all sorts of things, Ajinomoto, they can cause problems. There are some people that are actually sensitive, very, very sensitive to MSG. I'm one of them. It can cause apnea, meaning you want to choke when you are sleeping. It's not everybody that have the reactions. There are some that are sensitive. There are children that will develop asthmatic-like symptoms if the food contains MSG. But that is part of our own duty as an agency to put warning. There are food additives that can cause allergy, aside from food itself that can cause allergy. So all these things we have to put in perspectives and put it under in the label. For those that have allergic hypersensitivity, this can cause hypersensitivity or allergy. But talking about the limits, it is our duty as an agency to work with stakeholders to reduce the levels, because you can say, Codex, which is the standard organization that takes care of all sorts of food qualities and safety. Codex says it's 0.2 to 0.5. We don't have to go to 0.5 because 0.5 may be too much, especially if it's something you eat every day. So those are the types of problems with food additives.
There are set limits or specified limits. Some of them, when you look at our regulation, for instance, you will see where we say limit we may write GMP. What that means is that it depends on the function, the technical function that the additive is designed to work for in the food. For instance, salt is an example of an additive where we do not set limits. We say GMP when you are actually, so it depends on what you have designed. What we mean by GMP is depending on good manufacturing practice. That means what you have designed and specified in your production process, okay? We will look at it and see that you have come within what you specified by your GMP. But don't forget that in as much as we said we are not putting any limits, there are set limits of, medical limits. The people will say recommended daily intakes of a particular ingredient or that. So that notwithstanding, when it comes to, you are the one that will determine that, look, because it will obviously be declared on the label that this thing contains salt. So you know what your limits should be.
We'll go on a short break and we'll be right back.
Yes, come in.
Uncle.
Tayo.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. It's good to see you. Where's Junior and his mom?
Uncle T, we are here.
Mama.
Junior, quick. Go get your uncle some alcohol from Auntie Carol's shop.
No, Junior. Please go sit. Don't you know that sending Junior to go buy this kind of drinks could instill in him the urge to drink alcohol at this tender age? Children under the age of 18 should abstain from alcohol. No, Uncle, please. Give me the money. I'll go buy it by myself.
I didn't know that.
But I told you.
NAFDAC says alcohol is a no-go area for children under the age of 18.
I will never send him on such an errand again.
It is the business of all of us, parents, guardians, marketers and retailers, to stop underage drinking of alcohol in our society. Join us today. This message is brought to you by Distillers and Blenders Association of Nigeria, NAFDAC, and the Federal Ministry of Health.
Welcome back. Regulation and control are major ways the agency ensures all food products that may have additives are safe for human consumption. The agency subjects all food products to rigorous laboratory tests before they are approved for mass production and sale to the public.
Before anything is even approved to be used as food additives, we have to ensure that they're actually safe for use and that they're actually needed. They have to be used, that there's a reason for you to use it. You don't just add food additives just for the sake of it. You must have a reason why you are putting the food why you are adding the food additives in food.
People are being sensitized on the effects of the wrong use of additives, the implication of not using the correct quantity. So ESAN is doing a lot of work on it. They even go on survey to monitor how companies are complying. They go in the survey, they can go to the market, rural market, and take the samples. Go to the lab and to know if that quantity, that required quantity is still retained. If it is not, the company that produces it will be informed and sanctioned.
In a bid to guarantee food safety in Nigeria and ultimately safeguard the health of the nation, NAFDAC follows both international standards and local set standards in putting together its regulations.
NAFDAC works with international organizations and collaborators worldwide to ensure that our food regulations and our food safety system meet international best practice. We work with Codex. Codex is the international food standard setting body, which makes sure that international standards from various countries are harmonized so that food trade can go between different countries unhindered, without restriction.
The most important principles established in food additives regulations is that food additives should be kept under continuous observation and must be re-evaluated whenever necessary in the light of changing conditions of use and new scientific information. which is why NAFDAC continues to work hand in hand with international organizations to help and ensure local food producers maintain current Good Manufacturing Practice (CGMP). NAFDAC encourages consumers of food products to be conscious of the components of the food they consume. This can be best achieved by reading labels on food products, especially because the agency has painstakingly verified every food product that has been duly registered, has an authentic NAFDAC registration number, and approved for market. One of the most important requirements for getting NAFDAC's nod on any regulated product is a properly outlined label. With this, the agency is able to verify every single claim made by the producer of such products to be sure that what is said to be in the package is true and that it is fit for human consumption.
We have to educate ourselves in terms of labeling. I can spend 10 minutes to read the label on a particular product. Before, there are some chemicals that will be given general name in the US. Now, you cannot do that. You have to specify the names of each additive or component. So you don't use general name. But I take that seriously because either I listen to what FDA is saying or I read about it. Thank God that I'm educated enough to understand. And maybe because of my own profession, I take time to read the label.
A food label is the information found on the pack of a food product. It is a mark, a brand, pictorial, or any other form of description written or printed on the container of a food product.
Labeling is huge for us in NAFDAC. It's huge because we have to be in compliance with the world, the best practices and standards, food standards, drug standards, things like that. It has to be well labeled so that the consumer will be able to read it and understand. People may not even know the effect of salt in the body, not to talk of glutamate or X other components. So that is where our own advocacy and enlightenment comes in.
Manufacturers of regulated products are mandated by law to submit their products to NAFDAC for approval, giving details of the raw materials and ingredients put together to make the products.
Labeling gives you information about the food. It talks about the date, it talks about the storage condition, it talks about the content. It gives you information about the allergy, so that before you take any food, you must look at the label. And labels should be made in such a way that it will never deceive. From label, if you make your label to be deceiving, then you have a bad intent. And now that is against that.
Besides being a truthful declaration, it needs to not mislead the consumer. It should not be deceptive. It should not confuse the consumer. And it should not give an erroneous impression of what the product is.
When you don't add something and you say that is added, they say that vegetable oil is cholesterol free. It's unnecessary because all vegetable oil, they have no cholesterol from the word go. So how can you claim that it doesn't have cholesterol? We know that it is cholesterol free. Therefore, it's not what you didn't do anything to remove cholesterol, but naturally it does, and naturally it contains vitamin A. So no one should go and claim that this oil, vegetable oil, is cholesterol free or contains vitamin E. It's only when you add it. So we should be careful not to give false information on labeling or misleading information. When you have used the carbohydrate to produce something, you say no sugar is sugar free. It's not sugar free because the carbohydrate will disintegrate to give you sugar. Though you didn't add sugar, you may claim no sugar added, but not sugar free because there is sugar naturally in it. So all labels should not be misleading.
Beyond identification and true representation of the contents of food, Labels also help consumers identify food or food brands that carry essential nutritional additives that are required for the Nigerian populace, like iodine in salt and vitamin A in vegetable oil.
The regulation in Nigeria is that all our vegetable oils must be fortified with vitamin A. These vegetable oils that are being retailed, unpackaged, unlabeled, we are not certain, we are not sure that they are fortified with vitamin A. And even if there is a food safety event, there is no way we can actually trace it back because it's not labeled and it has no address as to where it was purchased. You know, if somebody told you I purchased it from a particular address, as long as that address is not indicated on the label, the person can even deny that it was purchased from there.
To guarantee safety of food sold in our markets, including oils of different categories, NAFDAC carefully scrutinizes all such regulated products to ensure safety and wholesomeness in its laboratories.
We take all necessary precautions and we try to ensure that whatever people use and package and say they want to sell to the public is, safe for them to consume. It's safe for everyone to consume, and we do thorough work on it, which includes laboratory checks, and then we also do a lot of literature review to check to know whether certain combinations, where certain materials can be used or cannot be used. So there's a lot, and we're also members of several international organizations, like the Codex Alimentarius Commission, which is a WHO, FAO joint, organization, where a lot of things on food safety and food standards are actually discussed and agreed upon. And anything we do, we follow those standards.
Of utmost importance is the need to ensure that a regulated product carries a NAFDAC number on its label. This is an important mark of endorsement that certifies that NAFDAC, the regulatory agency that has the mandate to safeguard the health of the Nigerian people, has approved the product and declares it fit for use or for consumption, as the case may be.
Whatever we have our stamp on is actually safe for the people, for the population to consume. So if we are not too sure, we will not, because we are trying to hurry to issue a number to somebody and then release something we are not sure of.
It's very, very, very important for us to develop the culture of looking at the label. Maybe it's on juices, on cans, canned food and whatnot. We have to become more acculturated to reading labels. And also to test what may be good, may be bad. If all of a sudden you start feeling nausea after eating a food, you better find out what type of food. It's not somebody that is trying to kill you. It's very likely what is in the food. And if you eat it again and it causes the same problem and it's not from outside, meaning you didn't go to a party to do, it means that you are trying to set up, you are doing a simple experiment, that maybe it is this. We have to be sensitive to what we put in our body so that we use less drugs.
This is where we wrap it all up on today's edition of the program, NAFDAC and Your Health. Join us same time, same station next week for another insightful edition. Remember, safeguarding the health of the nation is our collective responsibility, so report fake and unwholesome food and drugs and activities that create them in your area. You can reach NAFDAC via toll-free numbers. For inquiries, call 0700 162 3322. For complaints, call 0800 162 3322. You may also email NAFDAC at nafdac.gov.ng. If you have complaints about any form of misconduct, you can reach the Reforms Unit via email, reforms@nafdac.gov.ng, or call the Reforms hotlines on 0909 763 0506 or 0909 763 0507. NAFDAC, customer focused, agency minded. If you have questions, comments, or inquiries, we'd like to hear from you. Till next week, stay safe.